Right, got to power on through these because I didn't realise what date it was. I'm at the end of September already. So this one's for Pisces. This is going to be for Pisces. If it's Marla's Tarot, if you like my vibe, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If this doesn't resonate, I'll obviously check your other signs. I have in the description box like how you can find out what your other signs are, the sites that you can go to find your other signs, but also you've sidereal sites, Vedic sites that you could look up to see what actual signs, what actual planets were above when you were born, what planets were there when you were born. And not because when we talk about Western and like kind of sidereal astrology, sidereal is like where the actual planets were, and Western is kind of a mathematical equation made by mathematics, I'm assuming, back in the day. And you know, they put the planets into everything, so they don't really align. So you may be finding, if you ever find that your star signs don't seem to gel with you or don't seem to make much sense to you, it would be worth having a look at what actual planet was there when you were born, what your actual sun sign should be, really. So the first card out we've got for Pisces is Redemption, and it's absolution, forgiveness and penance. In this card we've got this young vampire. It's a Les Vampires up deck. So it's this young vampire who is holding her heart. She may be feeling some kind of way. It's number 20, which breaks down to a 2, which is about balance and duality. And duality with the Les Vampires, think about it, you're like kind of wild self, your out there self, and your everyday self, your kind of calm everyday self. But there's, you know, we've all got a light and a shadow side. We've all got kind of two sides to our personalities. We're not always, I mean, anybody that kind of proclaims that they're all sunshine and love and sunshine and light 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since the day they were born is talking out their ass. We all have dark moments, we all have shadow sides, and we all have tempers. And we all lose our temper from time to time. So we all have a shadow side, and it's being able to kind of accept and integrate that side of us. It's about being able to accept, like, look, yeah, I'm this person, but sometimes I can be this person, and being able to integrate that with who you are as a person. And not, because I think the mistake that a lot of us make is that when it comes to the shadow aspect or the shadow side of ourselves is that we kind of try and deny it or try and suppress it or try and kind of make out as if it's not there. And by doing that, you're not entirely loving your whole self. One card from this deck, please. We've got Lady with the Boss Egg, and it's Ancient Wisdom. And this card's number 31, which breaks down to a 4, which is another card of balance. It's another card of kind of finding stability and grounding and all that jazz. So this is, I mean, forgiveness, absolution, penance. I feel like this forgiveness is forgiveness to self. I feel like this forgiveness that you're needing to do is a forgiveness to self. And the ancient wisdom part of it, I feel like maybe you know, I mean, if you're here watching a tarot video, then you're not behind the door about energies and how energies play and how we as people don't just carry the everyday face that people will see of us, like in work. You know, if you met me in work and then you met me at home, I'm two completely different people. I'm actually more shy when I'm at home, to be honest with you, just as a random meet of people. But then if you know me, then you'll know that I can get very anxious very quickly. I can get very het up very quickly. I kind of see right through people. I'm that friend that everybody warns their friends about when they introduce me, because if I don't like somebody, if I get vibes, I get vibes, and that's me, and I can't pretend, I can't play pretend. And I've tried to explain this to a friend once. I can't play pretend that everything's all sunshine and light. And my friend said to me, that, well, even if they do shitty things and they do work out to be a shitty person, you know, they're not being that right now, and I would like to enjoy what is right now and then deal with that later. And fair enough, I can understand and I can respect that, but in the same breath, I would rather them not have to deal with things like that later. When it comes up, and it always comes about. So when it comes about, I would rather them not have to deal with that later. But that's kind of learning when to step back. You can only warn so far, and it used to be that I used to be quite aggressive with kind of getting my point across, to the point where I've fell out with people. I've had fallouts with people over other people that they've kind of introduced me to, and I've had bad vibes about, and we've had fallouts about it. And you know, this person's gone on to do some shitty shit, and you know, I would rather it never came to that. I would rather the person would have just listened when I said to them, don't like them. I would rather they just kind of was like, yeah, I don't like them either. But life doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And we have to accept, you know, the shadow and light in everything and everyone, even ourselves. If you can accept that there's darkness in the world, and if you can accept that there is things that are negative and low vibing and stuff like that, then you have to accept that you also can be that. We can't be all darkness and we can't be all light. There's a blend of both. You can't, you know, in the darkness, when we're in a low energy and when we're in a low vibe, it's usually attached to a negative experience or a negative energy within ourselves that can connect us to a past negative experience. So this could be something that's coming up for you with the forgiveness. I feel like it's forgiveness of self, and it could be something to do with something that's not even for you. It could be an energy, yeah, fair enough, that you've kind of carried forward. You've carried it forward, but if you traced it all the way back, ancient wisdom, if you traced it all the way back to what is the trigger point, what is the trigger, and what, you know, you've got this trigger, you've got the shadow, sorry, and then you have the trigger. What does this shadow, this bad thing, trigger off in you? What does it trigger? And then you have to ask yourself, why does it trigger it? And then if you actually delve into things that really kind of where you can be quite snappy or quite volatile or anything like that, you will find it will trace back to some kind of fight or flight kind of situation in your life. And it may be something that you've like long buried, or something that you feel like you've really got over. But sometimes we just hold on to things because we've never, especially when we're younger, we never really deal with it. We never have the opportunity to deal with it, really, unless we get like kind of thrown into therapies and stuff like that. We never actually, we can sit there and go, oh yeah, that was bad, that shouldn't happen again, that won't happen again, right, and move on. But no, we've not, because we've not dealt into it, we've not delved into it, we've not thought about how it actually affected us. This happened, this made me feel this way, why did it make me feel, we'd never delve into it. So I feel like it's forgiveness of self, because when we go on, then we move on because we've not really delved into or really dealt with something. We move on then, and this trigger goes off. It goes off all the time, and people can do the smallest, slightest thing. People can say the smallest, slightest thing, and boom, we go. And it's one of them where it's like, and that could, and when I say boom, that's just like kind of an example. But in other words, we could actually go, no, and shut down. We could shut down, we can close off, we can close people out, we can cut people off. We don't have to be so expressive and elude ourselves in such an outward way. We can actually just kind of take it all in and shut ourselves off to people, cut people out, and just like kind of, and we can end up kind of lonely when we do that, but there's a reason that we're doing that. But we don't pay that much attention to the reason. What we do is we walk through life and we have all these kind of either or situations where we burst or we kind of clam, and we go through life like this, and we lose people along the way. And it could be over something really silly, but it's not that little silly thing that's kind of had you behaving or acting or feeling a way. It's something from way back in the past. It's something from way back in the past that you may have experienced that's had you feeling this kind of way, and because we've not dealt with it, we can't think it, and then we carry the guilt because of our reactions, and because of maybe failed relationships or failed friendships and stuff around us. We carry the guilt of that, and then we feel it's something that we've done. So when it's forgiveness, I feel like in the forgiveness sense, it's forgiveness of self. What I'm getting is it's forgiveness of self, and it's not forgiveness of self because you've done something wrong. It's forgiveness of self for blaming yourself for doing something that was out of your control. And when I say out of your control, I mean there are mental pathways in our brain. Our brain is so connected, and there are pathways, and some things that happen can trauma us that bad that when something happens, instead of following the usual pathway, it will do a short, sharp leap to the fight or flight kind of response in our brain. And where something where we could sit and think about it rationally, when this happens, it'll go straight to fight or flight, and we'll burst or we'll clam up. We'll burst or we'll clam up. And we have no control over that until we learn about it, until we learn what these triggers are, till we learn how to notice and recognize these triggers and deal with them. We can't deal with it, and we can't be responsible for it. Sure, when we go a bit OTT, we are responsible for how OTT we go, but the initial trigger point, the initial kind of our initial reaction to something, we should not be holding and blaming ourselves for when it's something that is ingrained in your brain. And that was a very long rant. We're on 12 minutes. I apologise, it was a very long rant, but I feel like that's where this is going. Oh, these cards don't want to play with me today. Come on. Oh, I really can't shuffle these today. I don't know what's going on. To be fair, I did edge them, so it might be that they're just getting really kind of clammy because of the edging. Can I get something for Pisces, please? Some extra messages for Pisces. I've got 9 of Swords. I'll put the Star, and I'll take that as well, and the 2 of Wands. So I think the 2 of Wands there is to tell you that you know, you're at a point now, you may be reaching a point with something where, you know, you're at a crossroads. It's a crossroads essentially, and you get to decide, do you continue blindly down one path, or do you take the variation that might be a bit more difficult, especially if we're talking about kind of past traumas or healing or shadow work, because this is very shadow worky to me. And if we're dealing with stuff like that, you know, is it easier to look over here and see, you know, this nice easy road that we can go down and continue on, you know, where we're pretending that nothing's happening? Or do we actually make a choice to go down? Actually, no, we need to deal with this. And we make the choice to go down the darker road, to go down the road that's the road less walked. The road less walked. And it's about going down this path where it's going to be very, very uncomfortable at times. I mean, the destination, you could say, would be the same, but would it really be the same? in this instance when we think about it, because we can continue to pretend like something's not happened, or something's not going on, or something doesn't need fixing within our minds. We can continue this kind of pretense with ourselves, and we can end up very lonely as a result of it. We can end up very lonely as a result of it. Or we can choose to go down this tricky, horrible, hard, dark path where we are going to be climbing mountains and swimming the deepest seas, and we are going to be going through emotions beyond repair, and we're going to go through these so we can repair them. So it's these emotions that are just flailing out of control that we're going to now go into, and we're going to swim these stormy seas. And it's like, what path would you choose? Instinct would tell you to go with the easy path, wouldn't it? But I think, it's your choice. It's down to you. And sometimes we have to actually stand there and say to ourselves, look, the world that usually comes with this Two of Wands, this world can be ours, but we have to make it ours. And to make it ours, we have to get beyond the traumas. So we have to work through our way and make our way through this dark path and through these traumas to be able to make this world our own. With the Star card here, this is telling you that there is hope in a situation. There is hope if you reach out and accept it. So this could be talking to somebody that maybe perhaps as it being offered some kind of help, maybe offered some kind of counsel or something like that, that needs to reach out and accept it, but they're kind of backtracking on it and maybe not wanting to do this, or maybe they're feeling a bit kind of cornered or trapped by it. And it's about sitting with yourself and just saying, look, am I happy where I am? Do I want to be where I am? If not, then this is a way that I can get beyond this. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, it's a bit weird and a bit embarrassing, but at the end of it, I'm going to have learned some shit, and I'm not going to be reacting or dealing with things in the same way. And the Nine of Swords here, I mean, to read it this way, the Nine of Swords here, this is anxiety, this is stress, this is worry, this is things that you don't even realise are playing on your mind, that are just kind of haunting your life. They're haunting, it's haunting your life, and you don't even realise it. So when something goes tragically wrong in your life, and or relationships really fail, or friendships really fail, you may not even, you may just be accounting it to like, oh, look at this, and this is something that just happens. And it could be something that could be stopped if behaviours are stopped within ourselves. It could be behaviours within ourselves that we do because of past traumas that we are not even aware we do because of past traumas. And sometimes just going and asking for help and speaking to someone and being able to get a clearer picture on a situation, and getting outside, like speak to somebody, like, I feel like this, I feel like that. And I wouldn't say this to anyone because I feel crazy. Do you think I sound crazy? And they will tell you no. And then they will sit and explain to you reasons why you may be feeling like this, what might be causing you to feel like this, what you've talked about, and how they relate it to how this could make you feel like this. So they can give you a better insight into your situation than what you feel. It's not all judgy. It's not all kind of, so let's sit down and let's all be happy. It's not. We go through dark times and we work through things. And we work through things that we might not even want to revisit. But in revisiting it, we get a chance to acknowledge it for exactly what it was, without any kind of rose or dark tinted glasses on, and we get to accept things for what they were. And we when we do that, we kind of get a peace and be able to move forward from it. We allow ourselves to be released from it. So with this Nine of Swords here, this is something that is really haunting your life, but there is some kind of hope, or some kind of, what's for you, it will always be for you. It will always be for you. With the Star card, this is kind of the wish card, isn't it? So what you want, what you hope, and what you dream for will always be for you. And it's just whether you, with the Star card, we think of it as like it's something that's coming to us, it's help that's coming to us. Well, it is. But even with the Star card, and on a traditional Star card, or another kind of Star card, I'd be able to kind of point it out. I mean, a very good one for this is the Star card in the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, where someone's reaching out the hand and it's after the Tower, and someone's reaching out the hand to somebody in the rubble, and then it's down to that person in the rubble to reach their hand out and grab that hand and take the help. So we have to put action into it as well. But I feel like you're being given, I feel like an opportunity, and if not an opportunity, maybe just even listen to this and realising, yeah, there's some shit that I need to deal with and I need help with it. And it's just kind of starting the ball rolling and getting something into action, putting something into action to get yourself out of a place where you are blaming yourself, where you are blaming and shaming yourself for something that it was and is beyond your control, something that has caused a scar in your brain when it comes to certain situations. So your brain now has to divert around that scar, so you can't follow your normal path and it jumps straight to fight or flight. And there's some kind of situation going on like that with you, and I feel it very strong. So what can we expect if we accept the help? I'm there trying to... Come on. The Fool and the Ten of Hazards. So if we accept the help, we have us walking into a new existence, having a carefree attitude and walking into a new existence. And we have the Ten of Hazards, which is the Ten of Pentacles. So we have ourselves having the dream that we always want, having that kind of stability and some kind of foundation, and being able to kind of have something to balance and build on, and be able to have a family situation, and maybe, and being able to just be happy and content and want for nothing, emotionally speaking or monetary speaking. We're able to get ourselves to a place of groundedness. And I feel like there is something that's going to be coming up for you where you're going to be given an opportunity where you can seek for help. And even if that's now, even if that opportunity is you seeing this reading now and thinking, yeah, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and going and speaking to your GP, speaking to your doctor, and finding some kind of help and getting yourself into some kind of system of help to be able to move forward from it. Because it's not as... I know when we think about that kind of going out and getting help and speaking to people, we think about it like as if it's some kind of bad, and that's a shame on society for making people feel that way. It's not a bad thing to get help. It's not a bad thing to be able to get your mind straight and move on with your life from situations. So if you've got something coming up where you get some kind of help, then definitely go for it. And I apologise that this is the only message that I was getting, and it was very clear and very precise to me in my head. When this all came out, it was very clear that I'm not deviating, I'm not getting any other kind of messages pulling through from it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. So take the help, look for help. All right, thank you.